A cause for celebration, the survival of a baby. But for some of the guests here, survival has become an everyday challenge. This young woman, Kesogo, supports a family of 5 who depend on her monthly paycheck. But this income is not secure. And neither is her future. Kesogo is HIV positive.
I blame myself. I was frustrated, shocked. I was denying myself, stigmatizing, all those things. So later I accepted myself.
This was a country with such high hopes. Botswana is the richest non-oil producing country in Africa. The discovery of diamonds 1 year after independence transformed this country of 1.7 million people. 30 years ago, Botswana had only 6 kilometers of paved road. Now it has 6,000. Then it had 10 graduates. Now it has 10,000. All paid for by diamonds. Thanks to its stable government and a strong anti-corruption policy, the country's economic growth rate has rivaled that of the Asian tigers. Botswana is now faced with a human and economic disaster. Of these young men, 1 in 3 is not likely to see his 30th birthday. With 38% of the population HIV positive, Botswana has the highest recorded rate of AIDS in the world. The government knows that tackling the disease head-on is the only way the country will avoid its greatest threat, seeing its workforce simply fade away. With an economy relatively short of skilled labor, many of whom are already ill, economists are worried.
That productivity levels will suffer. And as the Botswana economy gets more integrated into the world economy, we're going to find it hard to compete. As our workforce gets sick, we see people not going to work in the numbers, or rather as often as they ought to. We see people not concentrating sufficiently in their work. We see people who are well trained dying and so on. A lot of businesses are going to be worried.
Here in Old Naledi, one of the poorest suburbs of the capital Gaborone, as many as 1 in 2 people, including children, could be infected. It's typical of how the disease has taken hold in urban areas, where most of the population lives. The government is targeting these inhabitants with various AIDS awareness, prevention, and treatment programs. It runs a continuous television, radio, and billboard campaign and encourages people to be aware. Free condoms are handed out around the city, so the government is making an effort, but they know they've done too little too late. These children have already been orphaned by AIDS, and some of them may be infected too. But most of the youngest ones will survive. The government has recently started a campaign that sees all HIV-infected women put on antiretroviral drugs, 7.5 months into their pregnancy. Botswana has been successful in stopping the virus being passed on to its children. But with graveyards filling fast, the government realizes that it must act to keep the workforce alive longer. Before the end of the year, 19,000 of Botswana's afflicted will be benefiting from one of Africa's bravest campaigns. To postpone the onset of the disease, Botswana is introducing free antiretroviral drug therapy to its AIDS population. It's not a cure, but makes the illness manageable. For Kesogo and her family, who are living with HIV, the arrival of free antiretroviral therapy cannot come too soon.
We have lost our cousins, brothers and sisters throughout this country. And the problem, they said, they have something from the witchcraft, they were given poisons. So they are really stigmatizing this disease. That's the main problem. So people, they are dying. They don't accept themselves, because once we have accepted ourselves, everything is going to be okay.
This is Botswana's best hope for salvation. the open-cast diamond mine in Journeyman. 1/3 of all the world's diamonds are mined in Botswana, and this earth is the world's richest, yielding 12 million carats of the precious jewel each year. The revenue from these mines account for 2/3 of government income and has funded most of the country's rapid development. Now the government plans to use diamonds to keep its population alive. Debswana, which runs this mine, is already spending $1.5 million on an antiretroviral therapy program for infected workers. Doctors here have learned from their program that the government's ambition will not be easy.
First, the big thing about the stigma and the confidentiality. Many people are not willing to come voluntarily for the test. So that's the biggest challenge that the government is going to have to overcome in order to ensure success in the program. Number two, adherence to the therapy.
But the glitter of these diamonds may not be forever. Just when the country most urgently needs them, the diamond market has gone into a tailspin. These precious jewels are now linked with war. The UN's Blood Diamond campaign has highlighted several African countries that are paying for their conflicts with rough diamonds. And Botswana fears its diamonds too may become tainted, threatening to rip the heart out of Botswana's fragile future. September's terror attack in New York and a U.S. recession are likely to rock the diamond market further.
If anything happens to diamonds, if people are given an impression that diamonds contribute to war in Africa, it's affecting 1.7 million people in this country. It will bring our health efforts to a standstill. It will bring our efforts to fight AIDS to a standstill because we need revenue from diamonds.
Tourism, Botswana's second highest earner, is also coming under pressure. Landlocked with only the offer of exclusive wildlife game parks, tourism here is tailored towards the wealthy few. Despite the government's plans to build more luxury lodges, already numbers are dwindling. Another casualty of America's terror attacks. Kesogo, though, may be luckier. She looks forward to the fruits of the government's efforts. Having come out and declared her status publicly, Kesogo and others living with AIDS are encouraged by the government's promise.
These drugs, we are really waiting for them. We are really. Because some people, they used to go to the private hospitals, even that they are not working. And they started using this. At the same time, the money is finished, they break. They begin sick. So if it is from the government side, it is okay.
Treatment of AIDS is new in Africa, and Botswana's political stability, small population, and lack of corruption has attracted international expertise and money.
Doing nothing is probably much more expensive because the prevalence rates are so high. And, you know, as the president has said, the country risks to be threatened by extinction. So, according to our model, the program will cost approximately 3.5 billion pula over a 5-year period, which is about $500 million.
That kind of money could be just around the corner. Here in the Kalahari Desert, a new natural resource was discovered in July. The find has been described as promising and could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Supplying not only the country's entire energy demands, the discovery may also bring in massive export earning. Botswana's future may still lie in carbon, but instead of diamonds, it's the methane gas stored in these coal deposits that could offer Botswana's best hope for the future. And for those living with AIDS and HIV, it's their only hope. And without it,
we are all going to disappear.
It may have come too late, but the government's expensive gamble to secure the lives of its population is the only way that it can put the country's future back into the hands of its people.